guys, Fran from the Gilibits here, and this week the only thing I could really talk about is Flappy Bird. Now, for those of you who don't know, Flappy Bird is a mobile phone game developed by a Vietnamese guy called Nguyen Han Dong. I'm not 100% sure that's how it's pronounced, but let's just go with it. For iOS and Android, it was a free game which came with in-game adverts in order to generate revenue. And the game came out in May of last year, so May 2013, and controversially was taken down by the guy who made it on February 9th, 2014. And it's sparked a whole lot of debate within the games industry about things such as intellectual property, basically the whole kind of premise of what a game is, how difficult a game has to be, what you can kind of constitute a game, who owns what is copying other people, and all these kind of things. So I'm going to kind of go into that a bit. So the objective of Flappy Bird is you're a little bird, and you're flying through an obstacle course with these, actually I think they're green pipes that come up and down from the floor and ceiling, and when you tap, he does a flap, and so he goes up, so he kind of bounces along, and your objective is to try and get him through this course and get as far as you can, and the more pipes you get past, the higher score goes up by 1. And it's actually a fairly challenging game. You've got a kind of small space to put Flappy Bird through. It's considered quite a difficult and steep game with a steep learning curve. So that's Flappy Bird, and people have said, oh hey, Flappy Bird is a blatant rip-off of other games. It's a blatant rip-off of, for example, Copter, which was a flash game where you had to tap to hold down, and that would make a helicopter fly up and down and go through a course. Other people say, oh, the pipes are Mario pipes, or they say that the character design is very simplistic and looks a bit like, say, the fish, for example, in Mario. The flip side of that, people then say, oh, but it's not, I mean, it's similar to Copter, but it's not quite like Copter, because in Copter, you hold down, you tap, and you click, and you hold down, and you go up, and then you let go, and you go down, whereas this one, it's got this, like, flapping kind of motion, and people say, well, it's different because you've got flapping, and they say, oh, sure, maybe there's, like, green obstacles, but do you necessarily associate those with Mario when you play it, or do you just see them as obstacles? When you see the character, do you think of Mario when you play it? And this is a big kind of point of trademarking and what have you, is that people trademark stuff when they say that, when people hear that that term or see that thing, they immediately associate it with the game. So and thus, if other people use it, they're affecting that association. Sort of. That's what part of what trademarking, what have you, is. And a lot of people are saying, well, this game has lots of different elements of other games, and therefore it's just a rip-off. I guess, like I said, the counter to that is, how do you clarify what is a direct copy? For example, there was a whole kerfuffle recently about Candy Crush Saga and Banner Saga, and how there was this thing over the term saga, this kind of argument that when you hear the word saga, you think of Candy Crush. I don't personally think of Candy Crush when I hear the word saga. I don't think saga should be trademarkable. Whereas, say I heard the word apple, other than the fruit, I think of Macs, of iPods, of all that. So Apple, for example, I would consider a brand that, yes, you can trademark. The point I'm trying to make here with this is, literally a couple weeks ago, you have a huge kind of kerfuffle of people complaining that one company is trying to hold on to all sorts of intellectual properties and stop copying, and that's bad. And here they're saying, oh, there is copying, and that's bad. So it's like, are you against the copying of games, or are you against people trying to like trademark stuff? And it's a very narrow kind of a fine line to walk. I'm not saying that trademarking things are bad, and I'm equally not saying that you should copy other people's work. That's obviously not good. I mean, I wouldn't want my work to be copied, and I can imagine that's the case for a lot of other people. All I'm saying is that defining intellectual properties in gaming can be quite a fine line to walk, because for example, League of Legends, I think recently patented, whatever the word is, a spectator mode in MOBAs, and of course loads of other games have spectator modes. League of Legends or Riot, they say that they're doing this to stop other people abusing patents and coming in and trying to patent it themselves. And it's this whole great big legal mess of some companies trying to like patent stuff and screw over other companies, and it makes it very hard, I think, for the individual or the independent developer to actually make anything, because they don't have the legal power to stand up to these big corporations. And I think in Nagoya and Hot Dog's case, he may have like taken ideas from other works, and that is a topic of discussion, and I'm not going to say one way or the other what he actually did, but because he's such a small developer, all this pressure of other games coming upon him just due to this crazy success of his app, I think is possibly one of the reasons why he ended up taking it down. He said that he just wanted people to leave him alone, that he kind of had enough, that he didn't expect this kind of success. I mean, this game was like top of free apps in the UK, in the US, in China. Like, it got massively downloaded, and it's been massively talked about. And I feel like I can understand there may have been legal reasons why he took the game down, but I can also understand his point that he didn't maybe want the amount of attention that he suddenly received from having this game, which personally, I mean, I don't think it's a very good game, but having this game go viral. So I guess, what do you guys think? I mean, do you think he kind of copied something? Do you think that this kind of success is difficult for indie developers, especially just for one guy, which is often the case with apps, because they're somewhat easier to make than full-blown console games or PC games. I'm not saying that they're piss easy to make, or that they're easiest thing to make, just that they're often seen as like a first step. Like, the other thing I wanted to talk about in terms of Flappy Bird was how people perceived this game, because this is a very, very simple game that became huge. He was making something like $50,000 a day off ad revenue just from people playing this game. And another criticism that it got was that it kind of demoralizes new game developers, and it encourages big gaming corporations to not bother trying to do anything new or innovative, but just to kind of hash out the same old thing over and over again, because that's what people want. People don't want anything difficult. They want easy and simple, and thus there'll be no real drive for companies to make challenging, innovative new games. And I can agree with that in some ways. I mean, companies already do that. They already have rehashes where they just make the same game year after year after year, add a number to the title, and Bob's your uncle, and you've got different players or what have you. You know, in the case of stuff like FIFA and NFL and Call of Duty, like it's not really doing anything hugely new and innovative. But at the same time, you've got stuff coming out like Last of Us, you've got Watch Dogs coming, you've got a whole lot of exciting things coming that do seem pretty new. And I don't think that liking something that is like a reboot or a remake of a solid concept is a bad thing necessarily. I think there's a place in the world for both. There's a place in the world for things that people really enjoy that are similar to other stuff. I mean, if you look at Candy Crush, for example, it's literally just Bejeweled. But that doesn't mean that it's a bad game. I mean, people dislike it because it's made by a casino who's making a butt ton of money off a fairly simple concept, and that Candy Crush, is it King.com or whatever they're called, have tried to mess around with Bandwagon Saga. People get mad when you mess around with indie developers because they have it difficult. But I mean, I don't think that necessarily making simple games is bad. Simple games, especially in a mobile phone market, are generally what you want. I don't really want to play anything too complicated on my phone. If I'm playing a game on my phone, I want it to be quick and easy and simple, something I can play on the bus for 10 minutes, or when I'm waiting for a friend, something I can like mess around with for 10 minutes. If I want to play something more complex, that's when I move up the kind of chain of gaming platforms. So, you know, like phone, and then you've got like, and then up to console and PC and stuff that I can sit down and spend a good chunk of hours on. But then some people do use their phones to play games for hours, and maybe you do need complex games there as well. And maybe some people play games on the computer, not for very long. I mean, I used to play Minesweeper a whole butt ton as a way to de-stress on the computer, and that obviously doesn't take very long. So my point here again is that there's like a market for simple games, and there's a market for complicated games. And I guess the difficulty in making simple games is that people are often quick to jump on the bandwagon and say that someone has stolen someone else's idea, and that is a problem. It does happen. But I think as a game developer, and definitely in Nguyen Hadong's place, he made a very simple game. It was out for a good chunk of months without anybody seeing it. Suddenly it became hugely popular, and with that huge popularity he experienced a lot of negativity. And I mean, I don't know one way or the other whether he copied the game or copied elements of the game, and even if he did, he's brought a bunch of elements from different stuff together into one game. And created something new. I mean, it's not vastly different, but you can see, even if you're trying to say that he's copied something, it's not an identical copy of what's out there. It's kind of brought the elements together. And so he did this, and then he's basically got caught up in this huge debate of what is copying, what is intellectual property, what is a good game. And I can see that being too much pressure for someone, and I can see someone having had enough, and kind of calling it a day, being like, I don't want this to continue. I'm just gonna, just end it there. That's it. On the other hand, it could just be that he's trying to cash out before there are legal repercussions of bigger companies saying that he's copying them, because obviously they've got the legal team and they know how to do that. So what do you think? I mean, do you think he's just cashing out? Do you think it's a bit unfair that he's received all this press being just a single independent game developer? Do you think it's difficult for independent game developers nowadays to try and find their feet in such a growing market, which everyone now wants a piece of? Do you disdain mobile phone games? I know stuff like Candy Crush and now Flappy Bird gets a lot of a bad rap. Do you think that all phone games are kind of inferior to other sorts of games, or do you still consider them games? If you let me know in the comments below, I would appreciate it. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed this kind of word vomit on Flappy Bird, and you can subscribe. We have a Facebook over at facebook.com/thekillerbits. We have a Twitter, which is @thekillerbits if you're a Twitterer, or you can follow me as well. I'm @Jaggerus on Twitter, and there is also I Twitch. I live stream over at Twitch. I live stream over at twitch.tv/Jaggerus, stuff like League, Smite, Skyrim, just to name a few. So yeah, if you want to give me a follow over there, that would be awesome too. But yeah, Flappy Bird, what do you think? I'll see you guys next week, and have a good one.